This is History Lesson for Grade 9, Chapter 1, The Early Human Being, Neolithic Revolution and the Emergency of State. First lesson, History. History and its use. History is a branch of social science that deals with all human activities in the past. The activity may be political, economical, social, cultural, and other lives of past society. History has several uses. From these uses, the basic are to understand the present, to know about the past, to foresee or forecast the future, and to have broad understanding of national and international issues. There is a breakdown of history within a prehistory and history. First, history. History means that of the parts of second lesson. History and prehistory. History depends on recording materials or written sources, while a prehistory is depend on that of archaeological excavations. History studies the human past after the birth of writing system, and prehistory deals about the human past before the beginnings of writing system. Similarity between prehistory and history are both deals about the human being in the past. Prehistory deals about that of distance human past before the beginnings of writing system, and it depend on archaeological excavation or archaeological sources. Archaeology means that of a science which deals about the characteristics of dig out material, objects, and fossils. Archaeologists are a person who works on dig out materials, fossil, the remnant parts of dead plant and animal or human beings. Elements of history. While we study history, we must consider these three elements. The first one is a source of history, dating in history, and writing system in history. The first one is a source of history. When you see a source of history without the sources, history become invalid. The second one is dating in history, unable to understand history without a dating system. And the last one, the last element of history is writing system in history. History become prehistory without written source. The first one, the first elements of history is a source of history. We group a source of history into two broad categories. The first one is primary source, and the second one is a secondary source. When you see primary source are original materials that have direct relationship, direct connection or integration with the event they describe. Example, monuments, tools, ornaments, coins, letters, clothes, and the like. Second one is secondary sources. Secondary sources are material that does not have relationship, direct relationship with the event they describe. Example, history books, oral traditions, novel, and plays are examples of secondary sources. Remember, primary sources are more reliable than that of secondary sources. A general source in studying Ethiopian history. In studying Ethiopian history, we use both primary, secondary, as well as of oral traditions. We group oral tradition whether within primary sources or secondary sources. Primary sources in studying Ethiopian history are fossils, ruins of building, inscriptions, chronicles, and documents, including letter and code of law. Secondary sources, including that of historical books, novels, plays, or oral tradition. Oral traditions are an information that transmitted by word of mouth from a generation to generation. If oral traditions eyewitness accounts included with oral tradition that's directly related with the event, because of that we group oral tradition in primary source. Second element of history is dating in history. There are three units used to express durations of events in time for grade 9 students. The first one is decade, second one is century, and the third one is millennium. Decades are accumulations of 10 consecutive years, while century 100 and millennium express 1,000 years. Chronology is the sequence order of events in time. Within dating in history, we use a calendar system. There are two most widely used calendar system in history. The first one is Gregorian calendar, and the second one is Islamic calendar. Gregorian calendar used to count dating by using benchmarks of birth of Jesus Christ, and it used BC and AD. BC means that of before the birth of Jesus Christ, and AD means that of Anadoni, mean that of after the birth of Jesus Christ. In Islamic calendar, we use 622 AD as a benchmark to express the events, and 622 or 622 is the time when the flight from Mecca to Medina, known by Hijrah. Third element in history is writing system. So all this writing system to express history comes from China, and the Western historical writing system began in ancient Greece. Like that of father of history, Herodotus and Thucydides were prominent historians to write histories of Greece. Thank you very much. This is all about